Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So I'll be taking us through different types of research articles because realize that most early career researchers and students find it difficult to know what type of research article they can use to communicate their findings. Generally, research articles are divided into three broad categories. We have primary articles, which are articles obtained from primary research, a little more of that later. Secondary articles obtained from secondary research, a little more later, and spatial articles, letters, correspondences, short communications. We'll learn more about this later too. Primary research. This research gotten through or done through self-conducted methods. In a primary research, you are going directly into the field to collect the data from the participant, from the population in question. And you analyze this data and then you present your result. The goal of primary research is to answer specific questions for specific populations. Let's say you want to understand the perception of medical laboratory science students in University of Calabar on their perception of monkeypox. Then you have to get this data from medical laboratory science student directly. You have to get this perception or this knowledge or this practice of preventive measures data from them. When you collect this data, you analyze, and then you present your findings. Primary research can be difficult to carry out, takes more time. And I often recommend you have an experienced researcher in your team if you are planning to do a primary research. Get your supervisor involved, especially in the methods or methodology aspect of the work. There are different types of primary research, and I will talk about this in a separate video. We have cross-sectional studies, we have cohort studies, we have randomized control trials, and so on and so forth. So either ways, in all of this, you have to generate data directly from your study participants. On the other hand, in a secondary research, you do not need to go to the field to collect the data directly from the subject or from the study participant. In a secondary research, you are going online or to the library to gather data from published works. Yes, sometimes you may, sorry about that. Sometimes you may not gather this data from published work. It may be from gray literatures. I mean, papers that have not gone through peer review, are not published yet. But however it is, you're getting this data from other people's study, other person's studies. And once you gather this data, you analyze it, draw out do your qualitative and quantitative synthesis as the case may be, and then interpret and report your findings. It's usually easier, yes. But primary research has a higher acceptance rate than secondary research. Let's go into secondary research in more detail. So we have reviews. There are type of secondary research that brings together several works in a particular topic to assess our level of knowledge on a particular topic. Let's say you want to talk about the efforts to let's say community-based health insurance scheme in Nigeria, efforts and challenges. You want to know what effort health stakeholders, health policymakers are doing, are taking, what approaches they are using to implement community-based health insurance scheme. And you want to do this you can do this through an original study by maybe designing a quantitative or qualitative study. I mean, by going directly to meet the stakeholders and getting their feedbacks, their reviews, getting them to fill questionnaire, having interviews with them. You can also answer this question with a secondary research by going to databases, checking what people have published, and then bringing this together to tell us, oh, this is what we know so far about this topic. This is what stakeholders are doing based on what is available in studies. And these are the gaps. This is what we need to address. There are different types and they differ in their methodology and what count, but they are mostly doing the same work. I mean, analyzing published works and pointing out the level of knowledge and pointing out the gaps. Now we have narrative reviews. This is not a comprehensive list. We have narrative, traditional reviews. We have scoping reviews. We have systematic reviews and meta-analysis. By the way, meta-analysis is a quantitative aspect of your systematic review. Not all systematic reviews come with meta-analysis. So for a good review, a rule of thumb is that you should have at least 15 journal articles. If you don't have at least 15 journal articles, it means you may not be able to do a very good review on that topic. Now, special articles, they are more focused. Like I said earlier, they are a form of secondary research. The main difference between special articles and review articles and the scope and word count, they are very narrow. They have fewer word counts and fewer citations compared to secondary research, and they are more of opinion type of articles, meaning that they will need more of most of them need the opinion of the author or the authors. They want the authors to think critically and draw inferences from a particular topic or concept. So there are different types. We have commentaries, we have letters, editorials, perspective, opinion pieces. These differ according to journals. Now, what you should note is that some of these special articles are only based on invitation, meaning that if you're not invited to write on them, you cannot just write and submit. So go through the instruction for authors for a journal and know if this article is written only on invitation. So what type of article, I'm sorry, this is a typographical error. What type of article do I use in communicating my research? Sometimes you can be confused in answering this question. Is it a primary research? Is it a secondary research? Is it a special article? Let me take, for example, knowledge, attitude, and perception of monkeypox by Nigerian youth. This topic can go for a primary research and can go for a secondary research. Specifically, it can go for a review, but may not go for a special article. We'll talk about this later. Now, let's look at the difference between this topic for primary research and secondary research. What would we be doing? In a secondary research for this topic, I will have to sort of design a questionnaire, for example, and get this information directly from Nigerian youth. Get their knowledge, a structured questionnaire, their attitude, for example, and perception of monkeypox. But in a secondary research, I am not getting the data directly from the Nigerian youth. I'm actually consulting similar studies in Nigeria. I'm looking at what similar studies have done. I mean, a study in Cross River State, a study in Port Harcourt, a study in University of Calabar, different studies in this particular setting, which is Nigeria. I am putting them together so that at the end, I do my qualitative and quantitative synthesis if need be. I draw my inference. So now I am making my conclusion based on the result from the different studies that have been published in this setting. So that's basically what a narrative review, scoping review, or systematic review does. So the difference is just in their methods. Now, for a special article, So a special article is more focused. I mean, it may not be able to address all the research questions of a secondary article. I mean, for example, if you're talking about community-based health assessment of the coverage design, and let's say challenges of community-based health insurance scheme, this can go for a primary research. This can go for a review. Any of the reviews can do that. And this cannot go for a short communication because the scope is broad. We're talking about design, we're talking about implementation challenges, we are talking about coverage. So the scope is actually broad, which is not something a special article can do very well. What a special article does is that it can pick a concept out of the larger concept of a review and digest it, or kind of break it down, or kind of dig into it. So, for example, instead of talking about instead of talking about coverage, design, and implementation challenges, a special article can be like barriers to barriers to community-based health insurance scheme in Nigeria, for example. And in talking about the barriers, the level of analysis will be different from a secondary research. If the secondary research is talking about barriers, it does more in-depth analysis, it consumes more literatures. But if a special article is talking about barriers, it is briefer, I'll put it that way, and it is very, very straight to point. It doesn't do so much in-depth analysis. So that's the difference. Each of these articles have their own different functions, and I hope to talk about this in more videos. So thank you very much. I hope this video is helpful.